We head to the bottom of the second. Blue Jays lead 1-0 on an Alejandro Kirk home run. We have the general manager with us, Dana Brown. Dana has done such a great job lately of kind of following your health metrics. You really pay a lot of attention to it. How's your blood pressure? How have you been sleeping the last few days?
Yeah, not sleeping much, but blood pressure's still good. Nice glass of wine to help.
Always does. Did it spike at any moment, or were there multiple moments where it spiked a little bit?
Yeah, it spiked a little bit today. You know, you get a little frustrated when things aren't moving as quickly as you would like.
How would you assess what you did and what you tried to accomplish? Getting Dalton Varsho, where you're also looking for a pitcher.
Yeah, we were trying to just improve our odds and, making the playoffs and make this team better. And so, getting Varsho, everyday center fielder, we like that.
Was he high on your list when you went into this whole process?
Yeah, pretty high on our list because we were looking for a left-hand bat and a center fielder, and so we kind of checked both of those boxes. And, we feel like we got a guy that's a lifer in baseball. His dad was a good player. He grew up in the clubhouse. He's a competitor. He fits right in. He played in the World Series last year, fit right in on this team.
He doesn't strike out a lot. He takes his walks. What was the idea of putting him in the middle part of that lineup?
Yeah, just the contact. You saw just now, he gets the base hit right there. 2 strikes, he's fighting to put it in play. We can use that in the middle of our lineup a little bit, particularly when we have men in scoring position.
What was it like for you going through maybe the last 24, 48 hours, knowing that you do have pieces that would entice a trade, but deciding who to trade for what? I mean, that's got to be walking a very fine line in this organization because you've done good in the drafts here recently.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance. You don't want to mortgage the future, but you want to improve the major league team in the current season. And so you have to balance that act out all the time. And, there's people who paid some high price tags today. And, some of that we're not willing to do, We're trying to improve this team. We felt like we moved the needle with Varsho, but we didn't want to get into losing like our top of the farm system prospects. And some of our guys in the lower parts that are really good, like the 2 young hitters we got.
Without speaking of a specific trade, were you surprised a little bit at some of the prospect capital that went back in some deals today?
Yeah, I'm always surprised with that. But, look, teams are trying to get better, and some teams will give up a little bit more than other teams. And, you try not to give up your blue chips. You want to keep those guys. And so I understand that, there was a high asking price for a lot of the good players that were out there. And these players, they were available, they were still on the board, we were excited. And then the price tag, it seems to just be so high. And, we don't want to mortgage the future. We think, the one thing we want to do is keep the window open here all the time, like Jim Crane talks about. And you can't do that if you start mortgaging the future.
Absolutely. You got some good pieces down there. It looks like Tramel's going to fly out to right field. Coming out of the All-Star break, or maybe if we had had this conversation over the All-Star break, it might have been a little bit different. But you come out, get swept by the Baltimore Orioles, and then the Astros go on the run that they're on now, and they absolutely pound on the Texas Rangers to take over first place in the West. How much of that impacted how you went into the trade deadline, or did it?
Yeah, it didn't really impact it. We've always felt like we were good enough, and we had a chance to win the division. The wild card was still wide open, so we were treating it. Look, we're going into this thing as buyers. So we get gut punched right after the All-Star break, and then we come back and we show some grit and get through it and start to put some wins together, which is, on a good receiving end there.
Was everything amped up today to the point where are you at some point talking to 3 or 4 teams at the same time?
Yeah, it was back and forth. At times it got slow, and I was like, what is everybody taking lunch at the same time? Then the calls would pick up, and, we would get moving. But, yeah, it was going back and forth.
The Astros have a unique organization in the sense that their clubhouse is one of the most cohesive that I've seen in years that I've played and broadcasted. How important was it to you to get a guy like Varsho? Do you guys do the background checks and see what kind of personality, let alone talent, you're bringing into your clubhouse?
Absolutely, character matters. It's a big part of what we do. We want that winning type player. In Varsho's case, as I said earlier, he's been around the game all his life, grew up in the clubhouse, and just a good baseball man and a good human being.
Diner Diaz down on the count 1-2, and to get something, you have to give something. You had a little bit of control with Spencer Arrighetti, but You needed to play at 2026 for 2026, and that seemed like the right move.
Yes, no doubt about it. You know, Spencer's done some great things in his organization. He does have that control. It's always given up, you know, the control that hurts. And, you know, with getting a center fielder, you know, you're going to have to give up something for an everyday Major League center fielder.
But some of that control can contribute to the cash considerations towards Varsho's contract. So is that how you kind of leverage that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you always have to give up something, and some of that control is definitely, you know, with the Varsho contract, and that happens. But, you know, we're very happy with Varsho and what we got, and, you know, it's tough to pull away from Spence.
That one's going to be a rocket past the third baseman, Okamoto. And that's going to be Cam Smith continuing his hitting streak.
Yeah, Cam Smith has been swinging the bat very well.
We have seen Cam really pick it up lately. Here you go.
Yeah, what adjustments have you seen from Cam that allowed him to hit the ball as hard as he has been for base hits?
Yeah, I think I really like where he's getting his hands right now. His hands are a little bit higher. He has a point in his mode where he's like sinking into his lower half, and he's getting his hands back at the same time. And I think that rhythm is working for him, and it's producing.
One thing I've noticed too is he's pulled the ball a little bit more recently as well. Has that been an emphasis on him to get the bat head out in front a little bit?
Not so much that. I just think, you know, I don't like him to get pull happy because he's really good. Like, he hit that triple in right field.
He's got plenty of pop.
He's got plenty of pop the other way. You don't want him to get too pull conscious because then he's going to pull off the slider and they're going to throw him more sliders. So, no, we want to make sure we keep him to all fields.
Jeremy Pena, who has been scorching since the All-Star break, 14-game hitting streak coming into tonight, down to the count here 0-2. As you look at this team and you look at the bigger picture, you're up by 2.5 over Texas, coming in by 3 over the Mariners. Are you kind of watching what those teams within the division are doing at the deadline as well?
No, I mean, look, you have to really get locked in on what you're doing and what your path is to get back to the postseason and to get deep into the postseason. I mean, you read about it when it comes across the wire, but you try to really stay focused on what you're doing.
The AL West is interesting in that sense, but did it surprise you that maybe the Rangers and Mariners didn't go out and do a little bit more to try and compete with the Astros?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I'm not sure where they are, you know, with their budgets and different things like that, or with their prospect status. But I know for us, I felt like we had to do something. You know, I've been talking a lot about, you know, getting a left-hand bat and an outfielder, and to get a left-hand bat and an outfielder and a center fielder. I feel like you check off 3 boxes.
Jeremy Pena goes down on strikes. Dana Brown, I know this is a crazy day. We appreciate the time.
Get some sleep, man.
No problem.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Dana Brown joining us here at the booth.